How's it going, Ultra Buddies? Durian here with our mono decker kind of deck profile. Shout out to all the decker heads. This is a very fun deck. I'm excited to talk about it. We'll talk over the cards, explain them a little bit for those that aren't familiar. Then I'll talk about kind of this general strategy of the deck, and then some cards that I would like to change, and cards you'll probably see me playing around with if you see the deck in future videos. So let's start with the level threes because I think this is like the key improvements. So we have the new Ultra Dual Sword, and we'll talk about all the new additions, the primary new additions, because other than that, we have the Scene Searcher. So Ultra Dual Sword, armed type, a level 3, it's a 16,000, which is kind of weak, but its ability makes up for it. It's a double or triple activate. You give one of your triple Ultra Heroes plus 1,000 BP for each strong Flash, Miracle, or Dynamic type on the field. So this card can get really stacked up powers. It can go up to 20,000, 21,000 if you have the right setup. So it's a very strong card. We also got a new arm type, the Ultraman Decker. This is very important for this level 2, which we'll get to. When you play it as a single, you can swap the places with one of your Flash, Strong, Miracle, Dynamic type cards and move it. So it's a great way to kind of bully the lead lane and make sure that you keep fighting for lead. And it's another arm type. So I like the utility of this card. Unfortunately, it's an Ultra Dual Sword, so it's not a typed. I'd love to do as many typed cards as we can, but what can you do? And then, of course, the reason why we're playing the deck is the dynamic type. That's why the deck is all deckers, because what this card does is when you play it as a quad, you get to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. So put one level 3 or lower decker from among them into play on top of one of your characters that can level up with it. Then send the rest of the cards to your discard area. So I really wanted to maximize, like with 16 level 3s, if I have a 1-2 decker, I should be able to find a 3 off the top to level it up. Sometimes you don't, but that's okay. If you don't have like this many deckers, you're probably going to miss for sure. So that's kind of like the general, those are the new cards, the main ones. The Scene Searcher is nice, but sometimes you mill cards that you don't want to mill. The scenes are pretty decent in the deck, so it's kind of a trade-off. Anyway, let's move on to level 2s. These are the 2 other most important cards in the deck, which is the BP01 Ultraman Decker, which lets you swap left or right when you play it as a double, and this Ultraman Decker Miracle type, which lets you reveal the top 3 cards and put one Decker with type Power or Armed from among them into your hand and discard the rest. And then if you add that, you have to discard, so it's not a free add. So now that you have like a lot of newer cards that are added, there's 12 different arm types deckers that you can be as level 3s. It greatly increases the consistency of the deck. And then it also added some power types to make sure that like I just have more targets, and sometimes you want a level 2 and not a level 3. So we'll just go over these 2 cards lastly to finish off the level 3s. So the BP01 Flash type Decker, double or triple. While you have another triple Ultra Hero, all your single Decker and Trigger have their BP grade increased by 1, and this effect is not stacked. And then a Miracle type Decker, which is a single or double when a character enters play. You can give one of your Ultra Heroes plus 1,000 for this turn. So a lot of little plus 1,000s can really help you break the ties. It's pretty important. We did the Scene Search. So then we'll talk about these 6 cards. This is kind of like where you get to flex around with the deck and play whatever you want. So I have Ultraman Triggers. This is from BP01. It's a nice 14,000 power when it's a double, which you can get to with the Flash type ability. So that is very nice, and it also kind of saves you from the promo Zetons. That's kind of the main purpose of this card, save you from promo Zeton. Just as a 2-of, because we don't want to get them in the way of the deckers. I could see 3, just to have a little bit more consistency. Depends on how worried you are about promo Zeton. Then we have the Light and Darkness Again scene. Round 3, you can discard 1 card, give all of your deckers plus 1,000. Pretty crazy effect. It lets you break a lot of ties. Like you get 13s that go to 14s, you get 12s that go to they go to 13s. It's a pretty big deal. And then we have Man and the Monster at 2. Round 4 scene, discard 1 card from your hand and give one of your single decker a BP grade increase by 1 for this turn. So that is it for all the cards. Let's talk about the general strategy, so to speak, for this deck. And the way that I've noticed, I found the most success like playing this deck in practice is obviously you're trying to build triples. So this is a triple focused deck now. Before you had Flash type where you try to build a triple and then this one and then try to carry the rest of the game by playing strong singles. I think now you really want to focus on building triples, and then hopefully one of them will be this Flash type, or you can set up the Flash type as a double later. to try to get those powerful singles. So what we're trying to do is some decks will try to dodge lanes and sacrifice lanes. I think Decker is a deck that tries to line up with your opponent's strongest plays and match them basically. So we want to be tying other people's lanes, because the longer the game goes, if we have the BPO1 out, then we get to start playing single cards that are much stronger than the opponent. So we can kind of snowball in the later parts of the game, and you have a lot of ways to do that. And also with this new Ultra Dual Sword, because it can get so strong, by turn 5 it's getting, if your field is full of types, then it'll get plus 5,000, which means itself is a 21,000. So you're actually beating quads if you have this one up in the right field. So it's actually pretty crazy that you can do that. So you're really good at fighting against your opponent's strongest stuff. So I think that's what you should do. Also, like, I don't want to get too into it, but I'll show it for example. So for example, if you tie lane 1 with this one, I just put something down so you can see it a bit better. So let's say lane 1 we build a quad and we tie that one. Then lanes 2 and 2 in this one, then we can trade these lanes. Like I have 2 wins, 2 losses, and then we move on. And then the longer we go here, hopefully with playing strong singles with flash type, we win. But if you kind of set it up where your opponent has their quad here in lane 1 and you move yours with one of your various move effects, so now you're going to lose this one, you're going to win that one, and then these ones become much riskier, because if you just lose 2 of these, then you lose the game. So by forcing a tie, you actually get to extend the game more. So you're almost looking to force ties, which is just like kind of an interesting deck. So an interesting way to approach the game, I think. So with that being said, let's talk about some of the cards that I think we could run and change. Like I said, I'm not super sold on the scene searchers, partially because if your game plan is playing really strong single cards in the late game, this is only a 9,000. I don't super love that. It's not super amazing. So I might swap it for, there's a Decker 12,000, so you can just play it. Boom, it's a 12,000 big boy. Or if we care about having that consistency, we can swap it to this power type, which is, it's a respectable 10,000 by itself. And if you catch a speed type, it will be a 15,000, which is pretty insane. So I'm kind of thinking about moving these around a little bit. I don't think the deck scene is always nice, but I like some like bigger power plays in the later game sometimes. I think for other cards to include is the strong type Decker. I actually think this card may be worth playing because it's a power type, but it's a dual nade breaker, which means it's not going to work for this one and this one. So I think it's out just because of that. So in some of the videos, I'm playing this strong type Decker, right? What it does is a single, if you have a triple Ultra Hero, you can give this character plus 3,000. So it's a 9,000 by itself, which is like okay. But if you have the flash type out, it's a 15,000. So it's a really strong like one turn play, like boom, I got a 15,000, it's a big boy. But after that, it goes down to 12,000. And 12,000 is actually not very scary. So you might be able to, you might end up in situations where you get the win in that lane for one turn, but that lets you don't actually win the game, and then it goes down to 12,000, your opponent has a 13, and then you start losing the rest of the game. So I don't like this for that reason. And so I actually switched them all to this miracle type, because I really care about having that plus 1,000. I think that's going to matter a little bit more. So if you some changes that I'm like thinking about, like I said, I might switch out some of the scene searchers for just some different level 2s or try it out. I think 4 scenes is okay. You can probably do 3 scenes and be fine too. What I might do is do 3 light and darkness, and then go up to 1 extra trigger, just because you never know how many you never know about those promo Zetons, you know what I'm saying? And the reason for that is because it's a lot easier to with the swaps, you can fight turn 3 a lot easier than you can fight for turn 4. And then also with turn 4, because this one BP increases a single, if you don't have the flash type out, this card is not that good. And sometimes that happens, because then you're just, oh, it's a 13,000, it's not that great. And even when you do have it out, if you play these, your strongest cards are your level 3, so we'll use those examples. All your level 3s except for flash type have 16,000 as a triple power. which means you're only getting a 16,000 out of it, which is not like the most spectacular thing you could be doing. So I think I'm leaning more towards the plus 1000s. But again, this is like these little six are your you can play around with them. You could play no scenes if you want. You could play extra triggers. You could add in Ginga if you want, 3/3 Ginga if you want. You know, this is your playground. Do with it what you will. For me, I think I might swap to 3 scenes, 3 triggers. Um, yeah, I'm still. There's obviously a little tweaking happening with the decks. So that I think is pretty much it. The deck is much more focused on triples. If you want some tips and tricks to play against some things, like we have the triggers to beat promo Zetons. One of the other cards that's really annoying for this deck is the Zeton that gets to 20 if your opponent has a VP grade increase. What you can do with that is now you have these dynamic types. You can actually turn off one of your triples into a quadruple and get rid of this effect, which is pretty silly. And then maybe I think the problem with that is most of them are 9,000. So you still like you're not gonna beat them anyway. So it's probably not even worth considering that. Yeah, so that's it. I don't think I have much else to say. It's a pretty straightforward deck. You play a lot of deckers, you level up your deckers, and you try to swap to where you think is you're getting the most advantage out of your plays, whether it's to fight for lead or to, like I said, line up with your opponents and try to create some ties to extend the game. So then you just play big boys later in the game. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We're doing, I think I'm hoping to do Omega next week. So look forward to all the Omega matches. Look forward to seeing this deck in action some more. And as always, we'll see you around. And thanks for watching. Bye.